Aloha, my friends. My name is Ameera Healer, and welcome back to this next edition of the Great Kingdom of Atlantis. I am doing this video as a request or suggestion from one of my viewers, one of my fans, who wanted to know how to recognize an Atlantean. Meaning, if you have Atlantean lineage or if your energy slash DNA slash cellular memory resonates with the Great Kingdom of Atlantis, what might you look like? And so in doing so, in answering this question, I'm also going to talk about the Lemurians and how to recognize a person, whether that be within yourself or somebody else, who looks like someone from the Lemurian civilization. So as I go through these descriptions, please know they're not an absolute. It's not a 100%, you can point someone out and 100% of the time you're going to be correct. It's pretty general, but it's also pretty true from my experience. And maybe as I talk about the descriptions, you will resonate or recognize yourself and what I'm about to share. So Atlanteans, the Atlanteans by and large incarnated in very long, thin, tall bodies. They were very angular, and the first Atlanteans were very pale and fair and blue eyes. That was the original seeding of the Atlantean civilization, and most of the folks who incarnated from other star systems, that's the form that they took on. They looked slightly androgynous, I would say. Meaning that they didn't have a really discernible, male and female features. You could tell the ones that were male from the ones that were female, but it wasn't like super, super obvious. But the most defining feature of the first Atlanteans is that they had that very, Anglo-Saxon type of look, fair skin, blue eyes, light colored hair, and so on. And they were quite tall. The Atlanteans were 6, 7, 8 feet tall beings, very statuesque, I guess, that you would call them. So as Atlantis progressed, as Atlantis went on, beings of different descriptions or size or stature began to incarnate. So as Atlantis grew, as the population grew, in general, the Atlanteans would incarnate in bodies that looked more thin and angular. So if you are a being who kind of carries that more of that angular type of look, that kind of more slender type of build, or maybe have some height to you, you probably would resonate more with having been an Atlantean. My incarnation myself in this lifetime, I look very similar to what an Atlantean would look like, but of course with darker hair and darker skin. And as time went on, and as the population grew, beings from all kinds of hair coloring and skin coloring came into Atlantis. Other civilizations settled, and of course the population changed, and there was a whole variety of beings who came to settle into the community. But the true Atlanteans, the true Atlantean population, had that more angular look in general. As far as Lemurians go, if you resonate a little bit more with Lemuria, or are wondering about what the Lemurians look like, they were more, when they incarnated, and remember Lemuria was a predecessor to Atlantis. When the Lemurians came, many of them tended to be darker skinned, darker haired, kind of more of what you would consider like Native American or indigenous tribes to look like. They had deep set eyes that were often darker in color, and their stature was not quite as tall as the Atlanteans. They weren't short by any means, but they were definitely a shorter, I guess, breed of people. They were very earth-centered, and so their bodies tended to reflect the roundness or the curviness of Earth or of Mother Nature. They were more voluptuous. They also had kind of an androgynous look to them as well. Again, meaning that there wasn't like super discernible between what a male Lemurian would look like and what a female Lemurian would look like. but they did have that very, that very indigenous kind of look and feel to them. So if you are resonating even with the description of being, being in this reality, who's very connected to the earth, and probably very connected to the stars too, but certainly connected to Mother Nature, connected to the earth element, connected to plants, connected to animals, you might carry some more of those traits of looking more like a Lemurian. If you are more connected to, like, maybe say the water and the air, you were probably resonating more with being an Atlantean. So again, these descriptions aren't absolute, they aren't across the board, but I do recognize, when I see people out in the world these days, I see people to me that I can really tell energetically their energetic imprint is Lemurian because of the way that they're shaped, and because of how they resonate with the different elements and with the earth, or they're Lemurian. Now there are also beings who, some of you may resonate with both. You might feel like you're kind of just split right down the middle, that you're a little of each. And so if you're kind of a hybrid, and they weren't called hybrid beings, that's just a word that I'm using, if you feel like you're kind of a combination of both, then the look and your form that you have to that could be just about anything. And so if you're kind of wondering which one do I lean more towards, I would just say learn about Lemuria, learn about life there, learn about the people there, learn about Atlantis, and kind of figure out which one you resonate with more. There's no right or wrong, of course, because it doesn't matter. Maybe you feel very balanced, and maybe you feel like you're a combination of both. I have very little earth in my chart. My energy imprint is not really earth-centered. So I don't really resonate with the Lemurian civilization as much. I believe that during the time of Lemuria, I was a water being. I was in the Mer world, and I supported the Lemurians, and I supported their community and their civilization, and I was very involved with, with the birthing, with the water birthing. I did that as Mer. My incarnations that came up out of the water and served as a Lemurian and lived on land are still very, very connected to the water element, and even to the air element, to thought, and that kind of resonates along my birth chart as well. So for me, my strongest resonance is definitely Atlantean. I am an Atlantean Mer being. That's where my Mer lineage is. If you are a Mer being listening to this, you could be a Pacific Mer being or an Atlantean Mer being. That's both. Both were incarnated. In future videos, I'll talk a little bit more about maybe the differences between the Atlantean or the Pacific Mer beings, just a little bit more what life was like in Lemuria, or in Merlantis, I guess we'll call it. But for now, I hope that answers some of your questions. Of course, as always, if you'd like to reach out to me, you may do so at Ameera Beth Mer Healer on Facebook, or you can email me at ameerabeth.com. Sending you tons of love and aloha from the beautiful island of Kauai. Aloha.